Welcome back to the Food Code. We are so honored to have Miss Diane Kazer. She is a functional diagnostic nutrition and the founder of Cleanse, Heal, Ignite Holistic Health Institute and the Warrior Detox. She is the author of Killer Breast, creator of the Explant Solution, producer of Non-Toxic Beauty Summit, and 10-part Dying to Be Beautiful docuseries. One of the things that I love about her is that her mission is to awaken women to ignite their purpose and inner beauty via hormone harmony, toxin cleansing, trauma clearing. So we are so excited to have you on, Diane. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm excited for you to share your story and then for us to talk a little bit about parasites and cleansing.
Yeah, one of my favorite topics, aside from also non-toxic beauty, which is actually, those are the things that I'm known for and the things that I prayed to God when I was going through my journey of toxic beauty and feeling my worst and being confused because as a functional medicine practitioner and naturopathic practitioner and all these certifications, I collected 11 of them. And I'm like, and I was shitting all over myself. I should know how to feel better. I should know how to heal these symptoms. So why do I feel so shitty? And I realized that there was some ticking time bombs that were living inside of me. And those were breast implants. We can talk about that today too. And also doing some things that were war poisons and not disclaimed to us. So I've been doing this for a long time. I also am recovering perfectionist and type A and OCD, which I think is in part what gets us to these points of being leaders in the industry too. So it's not all bad. It's just on the spectrum. I'm using things for good, because I think that we can all turn our shadows into light. We can all turn our shit into shine. We can all turn our symptoms and suffering into journeys to help other people. So I always say, don't let your symptoms, don't let your suffering go to waste. Help other people through their fire by being the person that hands buckets back to the people who are still in it after you've learned how to get out of the burning building. So I've been doing a lot of this for a very long time, and it's my honor to be with you ladies. I love helping moms. I love helping fit moms. I was also a national level bikini competitor. So that's actually what started my journey with getting breast implants, because you had to have them to compete on stage, right? So I don't know how much more you want me to dig into all of those things, but that's the long and the short of it so far.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about kind of your health journey with this? And what, I think everyone that gets into functional medicine to an extent has a journey of their own that led them there. Can you do kind of like the 10,000-foot view of what you've been through and what kind of got you to, we brought you on to talk about parasites, but I know a lot more than that. So what kind of brought you to this place?
Yeah. So I was a financial planner in my 20s. I was a pro soccer player before that. So I've always been like high performer, high level, helping high performance, high achieving types of humans. And when I sold my financial planning practice at the age of 30, it was, I learned a lot about money and the stock market and how fake it was, just like a big monopoly system. And I went, this is not even real. This is going the wrong direction. And here we are, with the world. And so I wanted to move into health from helping people with wealth. And I've always been I was a fit girl. I mean, my whole life as a pro soccer player. So fitness was always my jam. And then I learned about supplements and health and personal training when I was 17. So I did that all throughout college. I was training people. And I realized that at the age of 30, and I got back into personal training, got those certifications, became ISSA, and I got, that certification helping people with nutrition. And I was realizing that those two things were not the end all be all. So when you hear doctors say, you just need to diet and exercise more, then you still see that, well, I'm doing those things, but I still don't feel very well. So what more is there to do? So I have thousands of followers, actually tens of thousands of followers, when I became a bikini competitor. And I was like, what is this about bikini competing that people were so obsessed about? And, eating 6 meals a day and all about your macros and taking these supplements. And I learned, being in the bodybuilding industry, that it wasn't just about supplementation. It was about the quality. And it wasn't just about macros, it was about micros as well. So when I learned about that, it was because I felt like crap. As a fitness competitor, as a bikini competitor, I was up on stage winning all the trophies. I qualified for nationals in my second show. And I'm like, I feel like a hypocrite. I am doing all these things that what people talk about, and people who follow these icons or influencers that are followed by millions of people, and they're talking about the formula, the bodybuilding formula. And I'm doing this and I look amazing and everybody's complimenting me on how amazing I look. But on stage, I realized I was inside, I was a wreck emotionally, chemically, and physically. It didn't seem like it, but I was in pain all the time. And I did struggle with a lot of different kinds of drugs that I was using for decades in order to get out of pain, Norco, hydrocodone, Vicodin. And there's a lot of things I learned in the bodybuilding industry that are extremely toxic. And it's not only, oh, get breast implants so you can compete and so you can have a perfect body and you're proportionate and you look like everybody else. Now it's butt implants. And I mean, what else is it going to be next? You know, it just keeps getting worse and worse, and people's obsession of what it means to be healthy or fit. So specifically to your audience, I speak in this manner because I don't in every audience that I speak to. But when I got my breast implants in order to do whatever it took to win, I went to compete in state and I almost got dead last with my implants after having done so well before that. And I thought, what happened? I did the thing I thought I was supposed to do. And I realized that when I was on stage, I felt so awkward. My stomach was bloated. I felt like I had to fart the whole time. I had this weird face because I was so uncomfortable inside, but I had to look like this trophy bikini Barbie on the outside. And after I left and I got off stage, my coaches, I'll never forget this. Walking off stage, my coach said, "The hell were you doing up there? You look like shh." And I went, "Wow, thanks." Maybe not like a, "Hey, you'll do better next time," because it was a possessive thing. And it was like, we own you. You need to do what we ask you to do. So I stopped competing altogether. I had a shadow week. I closed the blinds. I had gained 15 pounds, all the water weight and all the, everything came back. So it comes right back after you compete. If people even care about that stuff, how fake it is. And I realized that I was a fraud on the outside because I felt like hell on the inside. Then after that, I became a yoga teacher, traveled the world. Then after that, I wanted more. And then I became an FDN, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And when I learned that there was so much more, it was like, I'm barely opening a door here. And I know this is an entire new universe to explore. What I found out was I was loaded with parasites. I had SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. No wonder why I was gassy on stage and needed to fart. It was trapped gas and it wouldn't leave. And I also had stage 2 adrenal fatigue, although there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue. It's a mitochondrial imbalance. Now that we know that, I had a thyroid disease. I had Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease, undiagnosed by anybody but myself, no matter how many lab tests I did with doctors in Western medicine and even Eastern medicine. I learned that I also was extremely toxic with heavy metals. I had silver fillings in every single one of my teeth. And no one ever told me that, if you're going to get them out, there is a biological dentistry approach to getting them out called a SMART technique protocol, which is safely removing them. But then you also can't just remove the silver fillings, that they also the toxins like the aluminum and the mercury that they're made of end up in your brain because it's neighboring your brain. And those are neurotoxins, and your brain's made up of 65% fat. So these metals go into your fat. So I was loaded with what I call shit: stress, hormone imbalance, infections, and toxicity. And it was just barely scratching the surface of no wonder why I feel so bad. And that opened it up, because then I started, doing all the lab testing and finding out a lot of the things and missing links in my health history where I was not well. I didn't know after doing Accutane and birth control and all the things that I needed to do, multiple antibiotics, multiple UTI medications. Nothing ever worked until I finally did this approach. And now I'm on a mission to spread this as the new way to, air quotes, practice self-healing medicine all over the world, just like you guys are on this podcast.
Yeah, I love that. That's so powerful. There's so many things in there that I want to pull out and ask about, but I want to be able to really dive into some of the things. And so I know that you mentioned, infections, and it wasn't just one, like you're saying parasites. Talk to us a little bit about that. Did you identify this on certain tests? Was there, I'm assuming that it is more than one because of the SIBO and some of the other things that you were seeing, on some of the tests that you ran on yourself.
Yeah. Was it like, how did I start? Kind of, is that what your question is?
Yeah.
Totally.
So like I would say like, where did you begin with figuring all of this out? Like, understanding that I have multiple parasites. Was it a series of, process for you of, I found this first and I started working on that. And that, cause I think a lot of times it's a healing protocol that then uncovers another healing protocol. It's not necessarily, these are all the things right now, and let's attack all of them, obviously.
It's true. It's absolutely true, because we don't want to overwhelm anybody, right? Because we are living in the most toxic world that we have ever known, that we know of in the history that we have access to, that is even truthful, because no one even knows what history is true, right? So 85,000 toxins that have been approved, and 45,000 or so of them are actually in circulation now. The average person has over 700 toxins in their body. Over 85% of cancer is caused by these toxins that are environmental, that are in food, that are passed down in utero, that are in our personal care products, that are in the ticking time bombs, like our breast implants or silver fillings, or also if you have, some people get the copper IUD, some people get the marine IUD. There's all kinds of things that those are actually made up. Copper is made of copper, and it causes copper toxicity for people who are unaware that it could cause estrogen dominance. So there's so many different places to start. But what I would say is, we are in a place right now in our world where, not to say that DIY is not helpful, but there's so many different things that right now are being thrown at us. And I don't like talking victim consciousness, but this is our environment that we're living in, right? So I think the most effective and fast track way to get better is to work with somebody, or to work with and do a DIY, like someone like you guys or myself, who has developed a tried and true and tested system and approach that can get you where you want to go faster, because they've been doing it for a long time. Gone are the days, go to your Western medicine doctor, run more blood tests, run more stool tests, which they only check for like 10 parasites in the stool tests that they run. And most of the time, you're not going to see parasites show up in stool tests, because they break themselves down before they even exit the stool. And so they're very difficult to show up on a test. But 85 to 90% of us have at least one parasitic infection. And there are hundreds of them that we can contract, not just contract, but create. So that's really important, that we can't just kill the bugs. We have to go after the reason why they're there. Mm-hmm. And that is toxicity. That's why T of the shit formula is at the very bottom. That's the deepest root, is that toxins will bring on the parasites that cause the hormone imbalance, that cause us to feel stress. And even mental, emotional disorders, where people are getting diagnosed with all these things and taking all these drugs, SSRIs and antispasmodics and benzodiazepines and sleeping medications. And it never stops, and it never will, on this pill mill, until you get to these deepest roots of why you feel sick. So I would say, this podcast, we're going to have a very special introduction for you guys to take a big step, because parasites are a huge step and people are completely unaware of that. So it's toxic body equals parasites. And I can talk to you a little bit more about that. And also, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of influencers. There's a lot of, this is the technology era. So what I'd also say is, if you dive into something, stay there. Stay there. Commit to that, turn off all the other noise, and complete that, because ADD and lack of focus, a lot of these things are actually caused by parasites and technology. A lot of addiction to our phones, and a lot of television and programming, literally watching programs. So that's what I'd say is commit yourself to something, stay there, and don't put too many cooks in the kitchen, because that's when it gets overwhelming and confusing, and then you'll do nothing. So does that help answer your question? I can keep going in different directions with that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love what you brought up there, because we have a lot of clients who've come to us after maybe functional medicine doctor, or they've gone to just their conventional doctors, and they said, this is the protocol. And then we're looking at the protocol and it was never fully completed. Maybe they got step 1, right? But they didn't get the diet to go with, for example, I've talked about this a few times recently, a candida protocol. So they kept eating sugar, and they kept, consuming the things that are feeding the candida, but never really killed it off. And so it's like, you need to understand that. I 100% agree with you. Whatever you choose to do, if you're working with a practitioner, you're doing a program, you need to fully complete that program and commit to it 100%. And then maybe if you don't, feel fully well, then you go on to the next thing and you keep digging and you keep chasing, health. But let's start to dive in a little bit in terms of, the parasites, and the cleansing of parasites. Why? I mean, obviously your personal experience, what you're seeing, with the toxins as well. This is a big part of your practice. So let's dive into that. Like, how common is this for people? I think a general assumption for people is like, I don't have a parasite. I don't see anything in my stool. Yet they don't realize just how frequent they are and common they are, and we're exposed to them every day, all day.
Yeah. And I want to share with you guys how parasites infect you, and also to help you realize that you are not a victim of other people making you sick, because that's something I see so commonly. And I want to just call you all up to a new belief system, because as we are all leveling up, there's I think there's a fracturing happening. There's a Red Sea splitting happening. And there's people who want to stay more asleep and point the finger that it's some bug that's causing us illness. And it's this one thing. I do not believe in germ theory. I believe in terrain theory. And that's what we're talking about, which is, one is a victim consciousness, and you got me sick and you're the reason, and I have immune compromisation. None of that is true. There's no such thing as being immune compromised. What it really is that you're toxic and you are full of pathogens that are draining your immune system, so that when a big thing shows up, when a big parasite or whatever it is, or a stressful moment, a divorce, a move, a job change, or having a child, crazy weather, hurricanes, those are stressful situations. Then that depletes your adrenals even more and your immune system. And then you might get sick because somebody that's around you has a parasite, or you have a horse or a dog like I do. And then you get a parasite and then you're like, oh, who got me sick? So the terrain theory is such that it's our job to take care of the temple that God has provided us. And this is how this entire show is going to be. So you may not like that, but I think that you guys have this show, and this is probably me speaking to your audience. So let's get into some of the ways that people can contract parasites, because there are a lot of myths. So I'm going to share my screen. If do you guys have this on audio too? So we need to say, if you guys are listening to this on audio, you should probably watch their video as well. Okay, so let me know if you guys can see my screen right now.
Yep. We're good.
Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single word of these slides, but you guys can pause this at any time. But are parasites damaging your body? Because like you said, is that I don't have a parasite. I haven't traveled to anywhere out of the world. I don't eat sushi that often. I don't get sick that often. I drink clean water. I wash my produce, which many people don't. And I don't swim in questionable ponds or lakes or streams. But right now, at this point, we are all exposed to parasites all around us at all times. And they're very smart. We're 98% bug for a reason. And here are some statistics to consider. In recent medical studies, it's been estimated that 85% of the Northern American adult population has at least one form of parasite. I already mentioned that. Some authorities feel it may be as high as 95%. 10 years ago, I got certified under Paul Chek, and learning about infections and how they cause damage to the gut, and how you can't fix a leaky gut, which is just taking zinc and glutamine and collagen and other things that contain gut healing elements, if you don't get rid of the things that are tearing up the gut to begin with. So you guys might run a GI map, and I run something else with a different lab called Vibrant, and we look for zonulin. Zonulin is a marker that doctors don't in Western medicine, but that tells us to what degree is your gut leaky. So I see a lot of people that are doing these gut healing protocols are taking a lot of these things to heal their gut, but not getting rid of the things that are causing the leaky gut to begin with. And of course, emotional stress and cortisol, yeah, that causes severe leaky gut. So don't ever forget about that. It's all about the shit formula, right? So the parasite could also be you. The parasite could be you in your own mind, being mean to yourself, being a bully to yourself, talking perfectionistic to yourself, beating yourself up constantly, the ego not serving you. It could also be your partner. Your partner might be loaded with parasites in general and has never done a parasite cleanse, or your child. And I'll get to these slides too. Or it could be that you have a narcissistic partner that's gaslighting you all the time, or a doctor, or, this is very common right now. So why is it so common today? for many of the reasons that I just mentioned. Okay. So this is more common than it's ever been. This is why this is the most popular cleanse that people are craving right now, because they feel so much better after. So I already mentioned that second statistics there. Parasites invade all parts of the body, even the brain. So it's not just in your gut, you guys. That's why, we were just talking about parasite testing before we started the show, right? You could do a gut test, and the gut test people lean so heavily on, and they say, well, no parasites showed up, so therefore we don't need to treat parasites. I beg to differ, and I want to become the disruptor and have you ladies join me in this. Just because he didn't show up in the lab does not mean this person doesn't have parasites. And I'm going to show you all of the symptoms, hundreds of them, that people might have that might be a relief. Like, oh my God, I did run some tests with whatever type of doctor or practitioner. Usually the average person that comes to me has seen at least 10 in 10 years and has tried 10 different things on average, spent $10,000. You guys know the deal. But the reason that you might not see parasites show up on a gut test is because they could be living in the brain. They could be living in your mucosa of your ear, nose, and throat. And you might have this postnasal drip, or always like having a runny nose or congested ears, or your ears are ringing often. A lot of tinnitus, a lot of people are complaining about lately. People are having, oh my gosh, my hearing has gone bad. It must be my anatomy. It must be because I used to listen to rock music, that one concert. No, these parasites leave a ton of waste in your up in your head, your ear, nose, and throat that congests the glymphatic, which is your lymph system. And if we just address the gut with parasites, but don't go after where they live inside of your brain that drip into the gut, we're on this constant treadmill of never getting rid of the source where parasites came from. So they are living everywhere. So treating the whole body systemically is extremely important. These bugs eat the lining of your bone. So you might see osteoporosis. They eat the protein coating on your nerves. So you have a lot of neurological dysfunction, a lot of people getting diagnosed with neurological related autoimmune diseases, lupus, MS, Hashimoto's, fibromyalgia, unidentified. We don't know the etiology of why we have these. No, we do. That is a lie. And I'm calling everybody forth, including you guys. And I know that you talk about these things. So yay, we have some answers. We do know the root cause. So we do see a lot of people who have constipation because the tissues in the colon get eaten up by these parasites. And this is also where a lot of eggs are hatched. Oh joy, this is where the fun begins. We start talking about eggs getting laid. So if the colon isn't cleansed regularly, or one eats parasites' favorite foods, like you had just mentioned, Liz, about the parasites' favorite foods, just like candida, are also sugar. They love dairy. They love alcohol. They love coffee. The eggs will continue to hatch. So they eat the nutrients from your food and you get the leftovers. They don't only eat the nutrients from your food. They eat the vitamins like A and D and the things that you need for healthy immune system, for healthy brain. They eat your iron. So no wonder why we have a lot of hair loss and advanced skin aging very rapidly, where now women are going to get Botox and lip fillers and injectables and all different kinds of surgeries because they feel like they're rapidly aging. What if it's just parasites? I can tell you right now, it's a huge part of it. They destroy your cells faster than they could be regenerated. Hello, cancer. We have now seen that there's cancer. At the root of cancer is now we see parasites in the eggs that they lay. I can actually give you guys for show notes a video. You actually can see that. They produce toxins in the body and exhaust the immune system. They lay thousands of eggs and every few minutes. And we've actually seen it in some of these things, these pokies, that there is research of them looking underneath the microscope of hundreds of thousands of eggs being laid in seconds and in minutes from people who have been injected. And so it's not about shame that you've done any of these things. It's about awareness of what you can do now. I recommend that not only just every human, but anybody who's had the pokey in the last couple of years, or even the new series of them for, the flu, all of them have these new technologies that were not like they were 2 years ago, or I should say now 3 years ago almost. So they can destroy all kinds of tissues in your body. And they are said to have the ability to mimic vital organs in our bodies so that not even doctors can detect them, like I mentioned. And a quote, parasites have killed more people than all the wars in history of humankind, according to National Geographic. So I'll stop there. And then I have some more slides to show you guys also, some of the symptoms that people experience during parasites. But I wanted to stop for a moment because I just gave you a mouthful.
Mm-hmm. I want you to repeat what you just shared in terms of the National Geographic. I listened to that twice on one of the other podcasts. And I told Becca when we were walking a couple weeks ago, she's like, wait, what? Like, yeah, parasites have killed more people than all of our wars, according to National Geographic.
And I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that, not because I can go back and show you guys, all the studies and all we need to stop that. We need to stop this crazy science. Science is right about everything. We need to listen to our intuition. We need to listen to our bodies. And what I can show you guys next is the hundreds of symptoms and the categories of types of issues that people are experiencing that they had no idea that were related to parasites. So yeah, do you guys want me to get into the symptoms of parasites now too?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me share my screen.
And you guys, if you don't know, we have this for our listeners. We also obviously have this on YouTube. So you can go and see these slides. Obviously we'll continue with the audio, but just know we have this on YouTube. So you can go and see what she's showing us, which are super fun looking types of parasites.
Here are the aliens.
I think the hard thing is that a lot of people think of parasites and they think of these like 20-foot long worms in their body. And that's not the case all the time. Like, yes, that can be the case. You can be passing pencil-sized green looking things. But in general, a lot of them are not going to be seen by the eye. So let's talk a little bit about types of parasites and symptoms.
Good point. 70% are protozoa and they will not be seen by the naked eye. So they need to be seen under a microscope. And I don't encourage you guys to pull out your poop and put them under a microscope. I've done some crazy things in my parasite cleansing, in which I started 10 years ago, just after I became an FDN, just after I got breast implants. And I will actually show you guys a couple of slides of what is likely to be exiting your body, exit stage left and exit stage right, when you actually do this right. And this is one of those things where if you guys are like, oh, I've done a parasite cleanse before, oh, it didn't work, or, oh, I did one last month. Listen to this whole show. Give yourself the gift of listening to this whole show, because there's a way to do it. And there's a way to do it comprehensively. I'm not going to say right or wrong. I'm just going to say there's a way to do it comprehensively. And there are steps to this. There's depth to this. And there is a comprehensive approach to this. And I'm here to help you guys make it easy, because it can be very hard if you do this on your own. So this is what they look like. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but every single one of these little suckers, I have, except for the ones that are protozoa, I have seen our patients that have texted us pictures and been like, yay, look at my catch for the day. And then not just look at this crazy alien that just left my body, but oh my God, I feel calmer. I feel like I can focus. I don't have headaches. My bloating isn't there. The cravings that I had before aren't there. I'm not as irritable. I can sleep better. I'm sleeping through the night. You guys, I can go on and on. I'm going to show you the symptoms that reverse. And I'm not talking about, it takes a long time. I'm talking about you release one of these little suckers and literally that night you could start to feel better. And I'm not saying this is an overnight cure-all, but I'm saying that once you start to release the things that have been sucking the literal life, energy, beauty, immunity, and vitality out of you, and you get that one little hit of hope, you're hooked. You're hooked because there's more. And you could feel that much better, and it can be that fast. So yeah, what we see oftentimes in people's stool, for those that are sending us, pathogenic selfies, poop selfies, tapeworms, they can be 30 feet long. They could have been in your body for 30 years, 25 years usually is on average. So these things are not just a life cycle of a day or a month or a year. These things could have been around as long as you have. Isn't that crazy? Like your mom could have passed these down. That's why I say in utero, in vitro, why I always beg mothers, before you get pregnant, before you conceive, before you spend $15,000, $20,000 on IVF treatment, which is like maybe at this point 30% successful to actually delivering a baby, spend 3 to 6 months with practitioners like ourselves, doing a full body cleanse, addressing literally all the shit. If you guys need to bleep that out, you can. Anyway, you get the idea now of what that stands for. Stress, which could be mental, emotional, spiritual, hormone imbalance, infections, and toxicity. If you're missing any one of those pillars, you're not going to heal holistically. So it is a holistic approach now, but we're working at the deepest roots here. Okay. So anyway, this is what these things can look like coming out of the body. I see a lot of liver flukes coming out, which is that top right image. Looks like a little tomato, but yeah, those things are also infecting your liver, which is where 70% of your thyroid hormone gets converted from T4 to T3. Your cells can't use T4. This is why Synthroid is a racket. If your liver isn't healthy, which the majority of people right now are not, they're extremely toxic and filled with these types of parasites and their eggs and their babies and their teenagers. If they have these things in their liver, Synthroid is not going to be effective because 70% of it gets converted in the liver. If your liver is toxic, it won't get converted to T3. That's the only things your cells can recognize is T3. So now we have, okay, wow, thyroid disease could be caused by parasites and toxins. Yes. Absolutely. So you can't just air quotes cure thyroid disease by just taking a medication. Talk to your doctor, full disclaimer, blah, 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 whatever we have to say, right? But if you're here to help yourself heal holistically and get off of these things and really address the root cause why you're sick, stick with us. So what we found in doing the research from La Quinta Columna did some research and a lot of research actually, and has found, and this is something that is a little bit censorable, if you will. They found something called Trypanosoma cruzi. And that's a parasite of which several variants are lethal as one of the many causes of AIDS. It's not known if this is a random ingredient or purposely placed in these hokey pokies. But this is why when you asked the question earlier, and whether or not you want to keep this on your show for YouTube or wherever you put it is up to you guys. My job is just to deliver what we've been finding. Did you ladies have the question, why is Ivor recommended?
Yep.
And why is it working to treat, air quotes, the C?
Yep.
Yeah. We actually just talked about this before the show, and how some people felt way better on it, obviously, but not just because the resolving of the C, but because it was eradicating potentially parasites.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you guys live in the US, it's safe. You can order it online. Pharmacies, if you need a hookup, just let me know. We'll let you know some pharmacies you can get it legally ordered for yourself. But 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to talk about this, and we would have been crazy. The research is here, guys.
The research is here, and in fact, I work with America's frontline doctors. I work with doctors in Mexico. And that's where I go to get mine. Just go across the border and get some. But if you can't go across the border and just buy some there, I even have links on my website where you can just order it and it's sent to your house. So it's easy to get this stuff. But I want to impress upon you guys that maybe where you were going with that is that some people will go on a parasite kill or they'll take Ivor and they feel worse, and that means you didn't approach it comprehensively, and that's okay. That's okay. You kind of had to know what it felt like to want to yearn to know how to do it better so that you can get rid of the bugs and do it the right way, because these bugs kill, and when you kill the bugs, they release a lot of waste. So we have to take binders and we have to make sure your drainage pathways are open. So do you guys want to, I'll share the screen now and show you guys some of the symptoms. Is that good order?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. So can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
My big stand here for humanity is that we all need to do a parasite cleanse at least twice a year, ideally with the change of every season to get ready for the next season and the mold and the new pollen from the next season, right? There's always different things that are happening, different toxins, different weather patterns, which the more clouds that can hold toxins down into our environment. A lot of these heavy metals, especially ones released by gasoline during the winter, we're breathing in a lot more of them, like cyanide. And that can mimic the C, right? I'm talking CV, not just the C, because there's different codes for what C could be. Cancer could be another one. So anyway, I recommend doing it every quarter, but that might overwhelm some people. So I just say, just get one done first and then go from there, right? If you've gotten any kind of jab anytime ever in your life, you must do a parasite cleanse, because these are the things that have been put into them. So let's keep going, you guys. This is a slide, and you guys can, I kind of talked about this a little bit, but you can pause it if you're watching and look back at this later on. I'm going to talk about pleomorphism because people think about international travel is the only place they get them. but we can also get them from contaminated drinking water. We can get parasites through contaminated meats if it's not organic and properly sourced and properly raised and slaughtered and fed animals, improperly cooked fish, raw unclean produce, pets. If you lick your pet, if you let your pet lick you or French kiss you, you swap tongues with them. I'm sorry, it's great for oxytocin, but it's not good for parasites. It's not good for your immune system, right? So we also get them from kissing and sex and drinking from other people. I always say that the best thing that you can do is you could do a whole house cleanse. And if you're doing a parasite cleanse for yourself, realize that if your immune system is not strong, that's the biggest key point here. If your immune system is not strong, the parasites are going to have a heyday. And that's the terrain theory concept. So if your significant other or if your kids have parasites, which we all do, but if they have a very compromised immune system, or you do, and they have the parasites and you do parasite cleanse, well, you're just going to keep contracting it. And it's going to go around and around. You're going to be like, that didn't work. So ideally, we're doing this for the whole family. And then also, where you're getting them or where you're creating them. So the pleomorphism I'm going to get to, because pleomorphism is the most important thing. Many people don't understand this. Pleomorphism is that when the body is toxic, if you can imagine a fish tank, imagine if you haven't cleaned your fish tank for months. What happens? The bottom feeders need to be in there to mop up the mess at the bottom of the tank, right? So the more toxins in the body, the more toxins in the environment, the more toxins in our personal care products, our cosmetics, the injectables we use, the implants inside the body, the silver fillings, the jabs that we inject in our body. We're surrounded by these things. The more toxins we have, the more that good parasites that actually do some good things to help up mop the mess, they pleomorph and they turn into bad guys. Or bacteria that were good and they were what's called commensal. Yay, they're helping us, to pathogenic and opportunistic. Oh no, now they're bad for us. So it's important to address parasites as well as the toxins that feed them. Very, very important. So this is why we don't just take Ivor. We also clear the toxins that feed those bugs to make them bigger, because that's what ends up happening. So here are the symptoms. We'll go through these pretty quickly. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but stomach and digestive complications like diarrhea, constipation, gas and bloating, abdominal pain, mucus in the stools, leaky gut, nausea, hemorrhoids, burning in the stool, bloody stools, skin disorders and allergies. We have dry skin and hair, brittle hair loss, allergies, itchy nose, itchy butt, itchy skin, hives, allergic reactions to food or food sensitivities, or a lot of chemical sensitivities. People then go, oh, I need to go get a food sensitivity test. Or maybe, you can save $800 on that and get rid of the parasites. Crawling sensations under the skin, rashes, eczema, lots of eczema lately. I've been seeing lots of eczema in our practice, and we've treated 3,000 people year to date so far and counting, using the programs that we talk about using this approach. Ulcers, swelling, sores, mood and anxiety problems. This is huge. Excessive weakness, mood swings, nervousness, depression, forgetfulness, unclear thinking, restlessness, anxiety, slow reflexes, sleep and energy issues like chronic fatigue, low energy, insomnia, teeth grinding, bedwetting, drooling, disturbed sleep, multiple or muscle and joint complaints like joint or muscle pain, cramping, numbness of the hands or feet, heart pain, pain in the navel, pain in the back, thighs or shoulders, arthritic pains, fast heartbeat. These symptoms drive people into fear that drive them to the ER, because they think it's like, oh, there's something with my heart. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying that if you get rid of the root cause, maybe you wouldn't have these symptoms. That is really your body trying to tell you, hey, you're infected and you're infested. Blood, sexual, and reproductive issues like hypoglycemia, which is an iron deficiency issue, and anemia. Hypoglycemia is sugar issue. Anemia is an iron deficiency or toxicity issue, both of which are caused by parasites, among other issues. Always causative or correlative, or both. We can always, speculate which that is, because we never know 100%. Candida yeast infections, to your point, Liz. Candida lives in parasites. So what I always say is I encourage people to do a candida cleanse, but also go after the parasites that tend to house them and protect them. Urinary tract infections. Many people don't know that UTIs, what I see a lot of my clients too, they have UTIs. One of our patients last week, she texted me at 9:00 at night, Diane, I'm about to go to the ER. I'm like, what's going on? She said, I can't pee. I feel like I've got stagnation. Something's blocked. I was like, all right, we're probably working on some stagnation of bile flow. Your bile flow is blocked perhaps in your gallbladder and your liver. in your urinary tract. You might have some stones. Gave her a whole bunch of recommendations, but also said, hold on, back up a little bit on the detox, support drainage and movement, hydration, mineralization, and also go light on the parasite cleansing, and then do a coffee enema. And she was like, whoa, don't have to go to the ER. I'm peeing. I feel so much better. So I'm just saying that there are a lot of reasons that we get backed up and blocked, and parasites are a big part of that issue, right? Cysts, fibroids, menstrual issues, water retention, other issues like vision issues, saliva, excess saliva, bad breath, poor immune response, or compromised immunity, which people say, I have low functioning immunity. Fever. Say that again. Fever, anyone? It's not just a cold or a flu, air quotes, flying around and you caught it from someone. These bugs cause this significantly. Respiratory issues, chronic viral or bacteria symptoms, body odor, and then weight issues like weight gain or obesity, loss of appetite. Some people actually lose weight and they have uncontrollable hunger eating, more than normal, but still feeling hungry because we're not getting satiated, because the nutrients are getting into the parasite's body, but not into our own cells. So it's like, why am I still craving all these foods and sugar and bad stuff? I know I shouldn't be eating it, but I'm craving it. No, it's the bugs that are probably craving it. And then you get none of the nutrients. So you keep wanting more. No wonder why we have an obesity crisis where we have 75% of people overweight or obese, right? So you go on all these crazy diets and go on all these crazy workout routines, but when you don't address the parasites, they might not take you all the way across the finish line. So David Wolf, one of my friends, when you get rid of parasites, you'll never have a cough, cold, flu, or fever ever again. And I'll stop share for a moment so you guys can ask me any questions you'd like.
Yeah. Powerful stuff. One of the things that I would love for you just to briefly touch on. So we talked a lot about infections and toxicity. And one of the quotes I pulled from another podcast you did talks about Candida specifically, right? So parasites live inside Candida, vice versa, releases up to 79 different toxins when they die. Expand upon that a little bit, because I think a lot of people might be thinking, cleanse. She's talking about a cleanse. Maybe it's a 7-day detox cleanse. We hear a lot of that, right? I'm just going to do a short-term cleanse. But as you mentioned earlier, you have to do this comprehensively because there can be a lot of die-off. That die-off can feel very close to, the same as an overgrowth. And so if you want to just briefly touch on that and, what this might look like, because I think in your practice, same as ours, as you just briefly touched on, sometimes things get a little worse before they get better.
Can I tack on really fast? Just like maybe order of importance. I know you talk about the SHIT protocol. So like before you go after the parasites, you need to make sure drainage pathways are open, to make sure, you're pooping regularly. Like what order of importance is there when you typically address them?
Yeah. So I actually can address both of those questions, but I'm prepared to answer the second question in the solution section so that the takeaways can be the most recent and last thing they hear, because that is, you guys, it's so important. The question you just asked is absolutely paramount, because you can't just kill bugs. You can't just go on a bug killing spree. Antibiotic resistance is, as Andy Wakefield said this, Dr. Anthony Wakefield, 5 years ago when I went to a conference and my eyes were huge. And he said, one of the leading deaths in the next 10 years will be antibiotic resistance. So what that means is that people are going in and, like you just said, Liz, is taking this pill, doing a quick cleanse. There's no such thing. This is either you guys go into this and realize that every decision that you make is either feeding these bugs or feeding your own cells. And it's a commitment to yourself to know that, wow, I have potential to feel so much better. And I'm not saying don't have fun. I mean, hey, I went wine tasting this weekend and I have coffee once in a while and I love my ice cream, but I do coconut. So we can have fun. We could eat we can have our gluten-free cake and eat it too. There's ways that you can still indulge. So there's always the healthier version of the things that you love, but you don't always have to be feeding parasites using the sad standard American diet. So yes, we will get into the order and the protocol that I recommend, that if you do this, you'll do it right. You'll do it quickly. You'll do it feasibly, financially, affordably, because you're not going to be chasing all these different. I see people come to me, they're like, here are the 30 supplements I have on my shelf. I'm like, where'd you get recommendations for those 30? And they're like, well, this person recommended this, and this magazine recommended this, and then this doctor on TV recommended this, and then my doctor recommended this. And then I just, heard calcium would probably be good for me. So when we take the chaos out of the picture, and we put order into it, it takes away the disorder and we have a destination so that we're not just chasing symptoms. Because when you get rid of these parasites and the toxins that they release and that are feeding them, you don't have to have 30 plus symptoms and supplements anymore. You get rid of the key roots, and then you create a balanced biome, and then you have a healthy tree. And your beautiful healthy tree begins in the soil. And what's in the soil? If you have a lot of bugs that are strangling the roots, that tree is going to die. Or you guys have seen trees that when parasites are attacking it, it kills the whole tree. And so when we get rid of the bugs, when we have a balance in the minerals and the pH, and you also have a healthy balance of good to bad microbes, then the tree is super strong and it can grow big, beautiful branches, which are all I call the 11 systems of your body, are all the branches, and all the leaves are all the flowers and the fruits and the leaves. And they can only be as strong as the soil, which is where your body is planted. And that is your gut. That is what you feed yourself. So your gut determines pretty much everything, because everything what you eat or you input on or in your body and in your thoughts then flows and moves all throughout you. And you're either a strong tree or you're a brittle tree, and you're constantly falling and you're sick often, you have symptoms and you're chasing those. So it's really simple when you get down to it. So I'll start my slides back up here again, and I'll get to some of the reasons why these parasites are here also. So, okay. Parasites are absolutely a clue that you lost healthy probiotic species in a balanced gut microbe. So it's not about just taking a probiotic and calling it good. It's about also being a good steward of those good bugs that you're intaking in either the form of diet or a pill. So I always say you can't out supplement a bad diet. So if you're not eating, healthy things that like kimchi and sauerkraut and fermented foods, like kombucha, or you're drinking coconut water, or there's so many different ways that you can take in healthy probiotics, and then you feed them with prebiotics. It's a whole nother separate conversation. I talk about that in my programs, which I'm going to give you guys my module 1 for free today to your listeners and your audience, so they can really start to understand this. But we have to be good stewards of our temple. And if you don't have a balanced gut microbiome, which the average person today is flip-flop, they're inverted. So ideally we have like 80% good bugs and 20% bad bugs. And that's what I mean by pathogens are bugs. Microbiome is the gut and the whole body, in which is compromising your good or bad bugs, right? So that's what the microbiome means. And the ideal ratio is 80% good, 20% bad. And that's all speculative to how you would define good or bad. But essentially the good bugs need to exercise. They need a purpose to go after the bad bugs too. They all have a purpose, but the average person is flip-flopped, 80% bad, 20% good, which means that your immune system is weak and can't fight off parasites. So it's not just about killing the parasites. It's also important to remove the welcome mat for them by boosting your immune system or balancing your immune system. Parasites can release up to 70 to 80 toxins when they die, very similar to Candida. This is why when people go in a bug killing spree, but don't do it in a comprehensive fashion and also mop up the mess that they release when they die, they feel sick and they quit and they think it didn't work. So they're like, I'm never doing that again. So when you do it the right way, you shouldn't feel as bad. And so I'll talk about that in the end in this call today. So when these parasites die, it almost can feel similar to when you first contracted them. And maybe you got food poisoning. Food poisoning is you got a pathogen, you get a bug. And if you've ever got food poisoning and just rested and just drank water, but didn't go after the bugs, those bugs are now perhaps 30-foot tapeworms that you ate a bad meal 25 years ago, right? So it's really important to make sure you address the reason why you get sick. You get sick because of bugs. You don't get sick because of a V. Right. V is what these bugs release. And so when the most problematic of parasites is ammonia, and also acetaldehyde and ethanol, these cause hormonal issues and imbalances. They cause thyroid and adrenal insufficiency, respiratory. Oh, I got a cough. It must be a flu or cold. Must be the C and the CV. Maybe it's a parasite, because a lot of these parasites, especially the ones that were in the hokey pokies, are respiratory loving parasites. Why did Ivor work so well? Start to put all the different dots together in your guys's constellation of consciousness of what we're giving you guys some nuggets of here, right? So parasites can cause a lot of damage because they harbor a long list of poisons and pathogens inside of them. If you've ever done a Lyme protocol and tried to go after Lyme, but never went after the parasites, well, good news. There's more healing to do. And maybe your Lyme protocol can end because you go after parasites, because Lyme lives in nematodes. Bacteria live in Ascaris. Ascaris is also another big problem for reproductive organs, urinary tract infections. I ended my long-term bout of UTIs and constant tread. This is actually why I got into functional medicine, because I was like, you want me to take a antibiotic every day for the rest of my life to prevent UTIs?
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out parasites are a big part of it because they live in our urinary tract. So we can also get rid of the UTIs by getting rid of the parasites. Mold lives in parasites also. You go on a mold protocol, you want to make sure you go on a parasite protocol as well. Viruses, toxins are stored in parasites. Parasites produce exosome, aka viruses. Parasites are sponges for heavy metals and other toxins. And we talked about, the visualization of what we can see or what we can't. And when these critters die off, they release a lot of these poisons that will make you feel sick, that doctors miss in their diagnosis because they're not taught this stuff. Lyme will actually slow drainage and elimination pathways, which is why drainage is so important. We'll talk about that later. It also, and parasites decrease your ATP, which is basically all this means is your cell's ability to make energy. 90% of your energy daily comes from your cellular production of ATP, mitochondria. And that's what makes the whole system work, right? So it's not just, you have adrenal issues. That's why I said earlier, you don't have just adrenal issues. You have a mitochondrial deficiency. Why do you have a mitochondrial deficiency? Must just because you're getting older. No, it's probably because you have a lot of parasites in your body that are releasing a lot of waste, right? So parasites use heavy metals to make its protective layer called biofilm, which removing metals and biofilm at the same time is also essential. So when people go to parasite cleanse, but don't also address the toxins like the metals, then now we just swung a big bat at a piñata and there's just stuff everywhere. So you kill the parasite, you open up the piñata, but now there's waste everywhere. So we have to give it a way out. Drainage. We have to have enough energy, mitochondria, to detox, because detox takes energy. Mm-hmm. And we also have to make sure we have strong binders on board so that they are powerful enough to hold on to the toxins and can carry them all the way out and don't drop them somewhere along the line of the colonic wall, right? So we'll talk about that too. These are just some areas where ammonia, when parasites are eating and pooping, or when you kill them, they end up in these parts of your body: the brain, the heart, joints, hip, muscle, reproductive organs, joints, liver, and spine. I talk to chiropractors all the time, which is why I work with a lot of their patients, is that you can do chiropractic adjustments all day long. You can get, lymphatic drainage all day long. You can get massages all day long. You can go to yoga all day long, but let's stop chasing your pain. Let's address the reason why there's pain to begin with, which is ammonia that ends up in these areas of the body. So we get a lot of people who are on constant cycles, like I mentioned earlier, of anti-inflammatories, anti-pain pills, whatever that looks like, painkillers. And we have a major crisis and a major pandemic issue now with people craving, pain pills, but this could be part of the reason why. So parasites are also 50% of school kids have nematodes. And remember, I just mentioned earlier about Lyme, like loving to live in nematodes, right? So kids get sick early, and then they end up later on, maybe in their teenage years, having Lyme, and they just get misdiagnosed often. So nematodes are pinworms and roundworms, and this is where they end up in a lot of these little areas that you can see the little CNSP. So the pinworms and the roundworms, if you look down below, nematodes are the N. So if you look at that little image there, anywhere there's an N, like the lungs, the brain, the liver, the gallbladder, this is where those specific types of parasites can affect those areas. This is why working with a practitioner is also very important, because you can get farther and make a lot more sense in a shorter period. Now, this is the most important slide, I think, of the entire presentation. I just made this for a big one that I gave for an audience. He's got over like 20 million followers. So I really wanted to pull the big picture of all the people that he interviews on the toxicity of EMFs and 5G and 4G, and how, that can be toxic to us, and mold can be toxic to us, and heavy metals can be toxic to us. But here's the connection. The parasites, like I mentioned earlier, harboring all this waste. Mold lives inside of parasites, and mold produces 600 times more biotoxins in the presence of EMFs, i.e. your smartphone, your Wi-Fi device, towers, right? So sleeping with your head next to a phone that's not turned on airplane mode, you could have mold that is just actively producing 600 times more of these biotoxin wastes in the presence of EMFs that are being released from your phone. Mycotoxins, that's mold poop, that is significantly toxic. People cannot lose weight as long as you have mold in the body. And the more you have mold inside the parasites in the presence of smart technology, no wonder why we are having chronic disease issues that people can't get rid of these days, right? Metals that live inside of parasites, more specifically, that's a good home for them. They're protected in there, like mold. Metals act as antennas that draw in EMFs. So people who are EMF sensitive, we now have 30% of the population that is EMF sensitive. Why is that? Well, if we get rid of the parasites and get rid of the metals and the mold that are in them and clear them out of the body, you're not going to be as sensitive, right? Specifically also, the metals in the body will latch onto the receptor sites of the cells, which is also where minerals get in, and minerals can't get in to do their job as long as there's waste in the cells. So which is why we need to take care of the cells. And the biggest issue for mitochondria today, decreasing our energy, is smart technology. And if we take minerals, like people say, oh, just take copper. Take copper. Copper minerals is something, if you take copper, well, that will make you less EMF sensitive. Maybe if it get in the cell, but it can't get in the cell if you're toxic. I hope this is starting to make sense, right? So people taking all these supplements, hoping that they can get in the cells, but they can't as long as the cells are harboring all these toxins and we don't get rid of parasites. When we do, this all starts to get better. Candida cannot be cleansed out unless parasites are as well. Xenoestrogens like petroleum, pesticides, plastics are up to 1,000 times stronger than our own made estrogen. These toxins live in these parasites, right? Bacteria, Lyme, and other co-infections, which antibiotics can't reach, cause antibiotic resistance. I mentioned that. So this entire cycle, if we don't get rid of parasites, mold, metals, candida, bacteria, Lyme, xenoestrogens, and all these things that we're trying to cleanse out, we might be defeated with that. So when we get rid of the parasites and all the things inside of it, we boost our immune system and our immune system's ability to handle new toxins, new pathogens, and not reactivate dormant viruses like EBV, HSV, HPV, HIV, etc.
Yeah. It's powerful. It's always the root cause approach, right? You're making the connection here. So everybody that's listening, if you've listened to Becca and I for a long time, we're always talking about what is the root cause. It's one thing to have a diagnosis. It's one thing to have a test that shows you some information. There's no one size fits all test that's going to show you, right? Like you mentioned, parasites often don't come up on some of these, even stool tests, and there's hundreds of them. It's not going to test for all of them. And so again, listen to everything that she just said. I would encourage you, go back, watch the YouTube video, look at the slides that she's sharing, make the connections for yourself, because at the root cause, even if you are going through a protocol, H. pylori, candida, whatever it might be, if you're not attacking parasites at the same time and doing it comprehensively, biofilm, disruptors, binders, so forth, you need to get into this program and, get on the right protocol for you. This has been so amazing. I think it's going to resonate with so many people. And I'll be honest, you're bringing back some things that I wish that I could dig back into my childhood, because they tested me for Lyme. They diagnosed me with children's rheumatoid arthritis. But I was, long story short, really unable to walk for a period of time. I was very young. I was 11 years old, and they put me on prednisone and methotrexate. Couldn't figure it out. Ended up getting with a holistic doctor and doing, some cleansing. I don't remember at the time. It's, over 20 years ago. And unfortunately, my mom passed away. But the question in my mind throughout this has been, what if it was the parasites? It was never the RA, the pain, yes. Right? And so it's just crazy. So this has just been fantastic. I would love for you to share, I know you have a giveaway for our audience. We're going to drop some links in the show notes, but where can people find you? What is, the best way for them to connect with you and learn all about your programs? You have multiple programs.
Yeah. Did you want me to answer Beck's question about the drainage? Because that's the last little bit here.
Absolutely. Okay. You have time.
Okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So there's a couple different ways to approach parasites. And of course your diet matters. And so all of that, what I say is that if you commit yourself to going through a full protocol to open up your drainage pathways, supporting your cells, getting out the toxins and killing the parasites, then I'll give you the exact things to eat, the approach. So that's something that we're going to put the links below for you guys. But step one in your parasite cleansing or any pathogen, whether it be it candida or bacteria or parasites, you want to be sure that your drainage is open. And what that means is that people don't really get what that means. What does that mean? Well, I'll just say it really quickly that you need to be pooping twice a day, of course. Some people are like, oh yeah, check. Okay, that means my drainage is working. It doesn't always mean that. So if you have any of the symptoms I mentioned earlier, your drainage probably is not working well, right? You probably a lot of stagnation. If you have any symptoms at all, you could definitely benefit from supporting your liver, your kidneys, your lymph, and the bile flow. 75% of women over 40 have stagnant bile flow. What that means is they're not draining well. They're not excreting toxins well. So it's hard to get rid of parasites and all of their mess when we don't have proper bile flow. 75% of women over 40. So, and that's everybody at this point who doesn't move. We're not exercising. We have a lack of movement. So this is where I would start, is something called, I call the 444 kit, and it's your liver drainage kit, where we have TUDCA is something we've had tons of studies on this, where it supports bile flow and movement, especially for people who don't have a gallbladder, especially for people who have thyroid disease, like I talked about earlier, liver congestion. And you wouldn't know that, but this is a doozy. TUDCA is a life changer and a game changer. Kale support is kidney and liver support, absolutely critical to make sure that you're getting rid of toxic waste, because that's the whole purpose of all of these organs, is to get rid of and eliminate waste and process nutrients and send them where they need to go. Lymph is also important. So these are my three favorites. So you start here first, and you do this for 7 days before you do a parasite cleanse kit. So look, only 7 days. Yay. It's not. So that's one way to look at it. And then the second step is to incorporate all of the different formulas to go after different types of parasites. We have 14 different herbs and a lot of these different formulas. And Para 1 is the doozy. I can almost guarantee you that you will see things come out of you, like I will show you in a couple slides from now. Almost can guarantee that you will have results. You will have catches. Para 1 is Mimosa pudica. So it goes in there and it essentially says, what's ever in the colon, let's get it out now, and gets rid of a lot of the parasites and its waste and the biofilm. The average person has 10 to 15 pounds of rubber-like material along the lining of the colon, which means you're not absorbing water, nutrients, healthy things that you're taking, and it's getting fed to the bugs. So we got to get rid of that biofilm and strip it away. So that's step one. Para 2 also has a lot of different herbs that goes after different types of bugs. And then Para 3 is another one. You could actually even use Para 3 and, some of your neti pot things. And I talk about that when you guys get the kits. I could talk about how you could use these in advanced formulas, such as for ear infections, what to do with your kids. And biotoxin binder is a binder formula that goes after and binds to a lot of the waste that the parasites release when you kill them. Including mold, also including mycotoxins from mold, including candida and a lot of their waste, because candida also releases like 75 different types of toxins when you kill it. So biotoxin binder goes, all right, everything that was in the piñata, now we're carrying you all the way out of the body. They hold on, they're very strong, way stronger than activated charcoal or many of these other things that you may have heard about. They're fulvic, humic acids, polysaccharides, the strongest types of binders that you've ever seen. So I recommend doing this for 7 days after you do the very first step. And you ideally do this during a full moon, because parasites are very, very active during a full moon. There's a reason we get weird during a full moon. They release a lot of, our body releases more serotonin during a full moon, and that allows the bugs to move around more freely and quorum sense and communicate to each other. And then it also during a full moon drops our melatonin, so we don't sleep as well. So when we start getting rid of parasites, all that starts to get better. Lunatic comes from a lunar moon. People get crazier when they have parasites being active during a full moon. So if you guys get both of the bundle, and this is through Liz and Becca's podcast, you guys to get $25 off if you buy them both together, which I highly recommend. 75% of people choose the bundle, which is what I recommend, because if you don't open up drainage, you might feel worse if you go through and kill parasites. And then the third thing is that I wanted to show you guys a couple of the links I have for you guys, only for your listeners. Parasite Detox and Liver Cleanse supplements, like I just showed you, go to dianekazer.com/FitMom supplements. And my other gift for you guys, if you want to get the free module of my Warrior Cleanse program, where I go deeper into these things, but get more of like straight to it, dianekazer.com/FitMom free detox. And then what to expect if you go through and start killing a lot of these things is they might look a little weird. Some of these are pictures that came from a lot of the patients that we work with. Some of this is biofilm. Some of these are parasites, but you might start seeing these things come out of you. The heart one in the middle is after I was slightly delusional after 6 months of this parasite cleansing 10 years ago. And I first learned that parasite cleansing could make me feel so much better and get rid of my SIBO. And my warrior worm wish for all of you is to detox these suckers from your body so they stop sucking your life force, nutrients, and cellular vitality. Because like I said, you might lose like 20 pounds or so from your colon by getting rid of a lot of these parasites and the 100+ symptoms and their minion mess causes. So that's all I got for you guys in terms of the slides. So if you guys want to kind of free flow through some of it as we wrap up, you guys can go to those 2 links, and then we'll have some other links below for you guys because I have something new I've been creating because this became more popular than I realized. And we had so many people also getting off of the autism spectrum. Lots of miracles, right? Miracles, literally miracles here. And I expect the same for you guys if you want the same for yourself.
Yeah. It's amazing what your body can do if it's given the proper nutrients, right? And so I just want to go back to what you mentioned earlier in terms of the lymph system. We talk a lot about using, dry brushing techniques, sweating, saunas, castor oil packs, anything that you can do to support your body to prepare to eliminate. But you mentioned the second, supplement series there with the Para 1, 2, and 3, and the binder being 7 days. So over the full moon, you would do this protocol. Would you pause and come back to it? Let's say somebody is really starting to eliminate a lot of things in their stool. Would they continue that? Would they pause for 7 days, go back on it for 7 days? How do you recommend that cycle? Or if the answers are in the course, we can point them to there as well.
They are. Yeah. Because I get after, the hundreds of symptoms that are released that people go, wait a minute. Then there's hundreds of questions that come thereafter. Right. So what I have for you guys is I don't want you to fear this. I want you to be empowered by it. So what I did is I've created something where if you buy either one of just the parasite kit or the parasite and the drainage kit, which you get $25 off if you get them both through your podcast, I have answers for you. So it's like, here's the DIY, here's how to prepare, here's how to take the supplements, here's what to do if you feel crappier when you're going through them, because that's not a good cleanse. If somebody pushes you and says, oh, just work through it, no. That it shouldn't be painful. We want you to be able to work and go about your daily life, but you might have some more poops than usual, and that's to be expected. It might be a little bit painful, but not ideally. It's not. I have all kinds of different answers. So, what if I have pain? What if I have diarrhea? What if I have constipation? What if I have headaches? What if I can't sleep? What if? Right? So, I've done this so that you guys will have that exact. It's a longer video, so that you guys have some of the what ifs answered for you, and I also have an entire guide. So what if I start to get hungry? What do I do for my food cravings? How should I feel? What do I do if that really felt really good? What do I do for the next one? What if I can't do it during the full moon? All of that is all addressed in there.
Okay. Awesome. This is wonderful. I think it's going to be powerful, and you are changing so many people's lives. So thank you for coming on and sharing this with our audience. We will share it with our email list, our Facebook community, anywhere and everywhere that we can spread the good word, because, again, it's a root cause approach. And I think a lot of times we can do a lot, again, testing, and we can help people in a lot of ways, but you have to make sure that this is part of your protocol. It's part of pretty much every protocol that we write for a lot of our clients, depending upon, what they're dealing with themselves, because we know the importance of it. I've done 2 parasite cleanses in my life, and we'll be doing many more, but have never felt bad. And I think, that's an important piece that you brought up there, is that you really shouldn't feel debilitated or feel horrible. Let this be empowering to you, and know that there's hope. Maybe you've listened to this podcast and you're like, man, I check all those boxes. I've gone to all the doctors, I've had all the tests, I've done all the things. Let this be your empowering message today, that there is still hope. Keep chasing health. I know we're saying stop chasing pain, right? But I just keep coming back to this phrase today of keep chasing health, because if you haven't found the answer yet, you haven't got to the root cause. You haven't probably done exactly everything that she's talking about in her courses. So visit the link in the show notes, connect with her. As always, let us know if you guys have any questions. You can always email us, info@fitmomlife.com. And I just want to say again, thank you so much. Becca had to run for a call, but thank you so much for your time today and being here with us.